What's up, extraordinary people? I'm Daniel, and today we're going to talk about The Little Mermaid, the latest Disney live-action remake. Now, before I get into the actual review, let me just get a couple obvious things out of the way. First, this remake is not as good as the original film and was never going to be. The Little Mermaid was a landmark film for Disney. It kicked off the Disney Renaissance, it reshaped how Disney made animated films and how we view them, and personally, it's one of my favorite Disney movies. This remake doesn't top the original because you can't improve on what's already perfect. Secondly, as with most of these Disney remakes, I don't think this movie really needed to get made. I personally think there are only a few situations where it actually makes sense to remake a movie, such as improving it or telling the story from a different perspective to shed new light on the themes, and this movie doesn't do either of those. Now that those two things are out of the way, I actually thought this movie was really good. In my review of Peter Pan and Wendy, I said that was one of the best Disney remakes we've gotten in years. Well, this movie is one of the best Disney remakes ever. First of all, the cast here is outstanding. Halle Bailey was born to play Ariel. Her singing is phenomenal, and she captures that perfect blend of youthful innocence and rebelliousness that characterized Ariel in the original film. Jonah Hauer-King is really good as Eric. He and Halle Bailey have really great chemistry. Their relationship in this film is just really adorable and fun to watch. Melissa McCarthy is near perfect as Ursula. No one's ever going to top Pat Carroll's performance, but Melissa McCarthy comes pretty close. She's just so fun to watch in this movie. Daveed Diggs was really good as Sebastian. Jacob Tremblay was great as usual as Flounder. Awkwafina plays Scuttle in this movie, and she's kind of hit or miss for me. I usually really like Awkwafina, whether she's doing a dramatic or a comedic role, and she was fine here for the most part, but there were a few lines or scenes of her that went a little too over the top. The visuals in this film were extremely impressive. Most Disney live-action remakes are really dull, gray, and colorless, but this movie was full of color, it was vibrant, and just felt so alive. The cinematography was really dynamic, it actually felt like a Disney movie. It has a lot of that sense of scale and grandeur. One of my favorite scenes was when they sing Under the Sea. They go so hard in that scene with all these crazy visuals and sea creatures. It's just really, really cool. I also really love the visuals whenever Ursula is on the screen. They do some really cool things with her character introductions and these really cool shot transitions. Rob Marshall, the director, put in way more effort than I was expecting into this movie. I also really like the relationship between Ariel and Eric in this movie. The movie did a lot to give substance and meaning to their romance. You get to really know them both as characters and see why they gravitate towards each other, and it's just a really sweet romantic story. Now, there are some scenes and elements that they added that aren't in the original, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but almost nothing they've added here takes away from the story. It mostly just kind of further fleshes it out in interesting ways, or just elaborates on what was already there, which is good. The one really weak element to the new material are the new songs they added to the film. So there are 3 new songs in this remake that weren't in the original film. The music is by Alan Menken, who wrote the music for the original songs, and the lyrics are by Lin-Manuel Miranda, because obviously the original lyricist Howard Ashman passed away in the 90s. Now, as legendary as the Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alan Menken collaboration sounds, disappointingly, none of the new songs are really that good. 2 are okay, but pretty forgettable, and the last one is actually pretty bad. It's not necessarily bad on its own, like it's an okay song, it just doesn't fit The Little Mermaid at all, in my opinion. It actually kind of ripped me right out of the experience. It was very jarring. The rest of my criticisms are pretty much just minor nitpicks of different things. There are random things that don't really feel like they make sense or feel like they could have been done better. For instance, the undersea world of the Mer People doesn't really feel very developed. We kind of only see King Triton and his daughters, even in scenes when it would make sense to see other Mer People. It just kind of struck me as very weird. Overall though, I was impressed and pleasantly surprised with this film. It was a lot better than I was expecting, and I really enjoyed it a lot. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give The Little Mermaid an 8. Alright, now there's definitely nothing else in this movie I need to talk about.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
I'm not going to talk about that. I told myself I wasn't going to talk about that.
You need to.
No, I'm not going to talk about that. It's so stupid.
Talk about it.
No.
Talk about it.
Fine. Alright, so unless you've been living under a rock, then you know that the choice to cast a black actress as Ariel was controversial. This is because people are idiots. Personally, I find it hilarious that people of a certain political persuasion will say that race never matters and the job should just always go to the best person, but then when the best person happens to be black, they still get upset. It's almost like they never actually cared who the best person for the job was, and they're just racist or something. Actually, it's not almost like that. It is like that. They are just racist. Alright guys, let me know what you thought about The Little Mermaid. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember that you're extraordinary. I love all of you so much. Bye.